It's time to meet Clifton with your host, Ray Grabowski.
Here's Ray.
Thanks. Welcome, everyone, and welcome tonight to Meet Clifton. Just want to remind everyone that on April 26th, that just passed, was Clifton's 100th anniversary. And we're very proud of it, and everyone here at the studio, my cast and crew, are very proud to be part of Clifton's heritage and to part of the next 100 years. Hopefully, we can bring great entertainment through the cable company to everyone in Clifton. Tonight we have a very interesting show. I don't want to give it away, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Ray's guests tonight, School 13 educators Dr. Marilyn Torley and Andrea Onofre. Local author Jacqueline Lopresti and clinical psychologist Dr. George Carnevale, with music by the Two Tones. All this on Meet Clifton.
Okay, and welcome back. We're very proud of our educational system in Clifton, and we offer a lot of programs for students. Tonight with us we have two exceptional teachers and the principal of School 13, Dr. Marilyn Torley, and third grade teacher, Andre Onofre. I'd like to welcome them to the show. Why I asked them on is, actually they're from School 13, and in Clifton we have a bilingual and ESL program, and what we want the audience and the people at home to understand is the differences between the both of them, what we have to offer in Clifton. So my first question is, what makes the program at School 13 unique?
I was going to say that it's School 13 is a magnet school for language. It's not the only magnet school. There's also School 14, School 17, School 12 at the elementary level. And it's a specific program for School 13 for Spanish-speaking students. Andrea is one of our third grade teachers. She's going to describe to you a little bit more about the program.
Okay, so, and I know a lot of people, ESL bilingual, they think it's the same.
Right.
I know it's not, so maybe Andrea could explain the differences.
So the main difference is ESL students are students who can come from anywhere in the world, speaking any language, and they're taught in English, and ESL stands for English as a Second Language. So they go to a class specifically for writing and learning English mechanics and writing and the proper way to talk, and that class is only taught in English because they're learning the basics of the English language. Whereas the bilingual students, specifically in our school, it's the Spanish-speaking students who come in, and they are pulled out of my class, for example, for math reading, and they are taught in English and Spanish depending on the modifications that they need. And then they also go to ESL along with the rest of the ESL students to be taught in English, the English language and the writing.
I just want to clarify one thing. All the children are all taught in English. The Spanish bilingual aspect is if there's some clarification for vocabulary or for concepts, then they'll receive that in Spanish. But the majority of the lesson is done in English.
Yes, thank you.
So then it encompasses every language. How did they determine which language is going to be taught extra? Is that a district thing, or so many per?
Yeah, I believe it's based on a percentage of the population.
Right.
We used to have the Polish bilingual program over at School 13, but as those numbers decreased, it became an ESL program where Polish-speaking students would only receive that aspect of the grammar and the speaking.
Right. So the important thing is the ESL program, because that encompasses all students, all nationalities, and they're going to get the education. So during the course of a day, how does this look?
Good question. Well, the entire master schedule for the school is laid out for the ESL and the bilingual students. So when they're pulled out for in Andrea's class, they'll be out for a half hour for the ESL aspect and for 45 minutes for language arts and 45 minutes for math.
So Andrea, when they come, do they come per class, first grade or second graders, or is it intermingled?
It is per class. So again, depending on the numbers, since we have such high numbers per grade level, they will, for example, when I sit down in September and I make the schedule for my class, I follow the master schedule to see when the bilingual teacher and ESL teacher will be taking them for their services. And then I have to go ahead and shape my schedule around that so that they're in class for social studies and science and spelling. So I can't teach those subjects when they're not in class because they have to learn that along with all the other students.
How many students are in each class?
Average, so anywhere in between 23 to 26 students.
So it's a typical classroom.
It's a
basically.
typical classroom, yeah. And then
Okay.
sometimes our bilingual groups, like for example, this year I have 14 kids who are pulled out for math and reading and then ESL.
So Dr. Torley, who makes the determination of which student needs the help? Because at the beginning of the year, you really can't determine, so is there some?
There is a test, an assessment that happens at the Board of Education when new students arrive, and depending on how they score, allows the parents the option if they'd like them to be in the program. And most parents do, you know, take the opportunity to give their children the extra services.
Because it's beneficial.
Of course.
So at the end, what determines how do they get out of the program?
So usually the program, on average, the kids are in the program for about 4 years.
Right.
Sometimes students are, so at the end of the year, there's an access test, there's a test called access test, where the kids are given that test to determine their level of English. And if they, depending on how they score, they can either be taken out of the program, or the parents can choose to take them out of the program, or they stay in for another year.
Okay, so, and I have a question here. What's the method of tracking the students once they exit the program?
Yeah, good question. So once they exit the program, teachers are given modification cards to say, this student was in the program for these years, this is what helped them. If you notice that they still need these kinds of services, this is what you can do. And then teachers communicate to talk about the progress of the student and how they're doing.
So let's say a student who has been coming to School 13 for 4 years, exits the program and goes back to school number 8.
Right, right.
At school number 8, they'll still receive services from an ESL resource teacher who will go in just periodically, weekly, and just see how they're doing, communicate with the classroom teacher, check the modification lists, and see if there's any changes or tweaks that need to be made with the student.
So all the schools in Clifton are aware of the students' needs and they're provided for, right?
Absolutely.
I know School 13 has one of the best programs. Okay, and I just have one question to both of you. What else makes School 13 unique?
Well, we were just sharing, actually, before this the program began, that School 13 just received one of the time capsules for the Clifton Centennial. We're very excited about that. Our 5th grade will be determining what they're going to put into the time capsule and where it's going to be placed within the school grounds. We're very excited about the parade that's coming up. My parents know about it. The children are very excited about it. So it's going to be a big event.
Right, School 13 always participates.
When are we going to open up the capsule?
25
years? Okay.
The
25
children
years.
decided on 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, maybe.
I might be able to see
You might
it.
still be able to see it.
You never know.
You know, maybe they'll tell you ahead of time this way in case you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the ladies will invite me.
We'll help you around. So these are all important, and we'd just like to share a little bit about the Clifton education system. Obviously, we have great educators, great administrators. So this was just one little bit of it. I wanted people to understand ESL and bilingual differences. I'd like to thank both of them for coming on, and enjoy that. Welcome back. Clifton has many talented people. We have athletes, we have artists, and we also have authors. With us tonight is a young lady from Clifton that wrote a children's book. I'd like to bring her on right now, Miss Jacqueline Lopresti.
Thank you so much.
Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay, Jacqueline Lopresti is the author of this book here, Oliver and His Unlikely Friend. We're going to talk about it right now, but please share with us, what's your writing background?
So growing up, I always loved to write. I actually used to create characters and illustrations. I had a book all about this character, Rosie. She was a bunny rabbit, so it was like Rosie went to school, Rosie got the flu. My parents still have those books to this day. And basically, once I got to college, I thought it was a great idea to take some journalism classes, creative writing, poetry, and I kind of dabbled in all of that. And actually, after college, I was lucky enough to be asked to contribute to a few local magazines, talking about another thing I was interested in, which was modeling. So I contributed about the whole process of modeling and everything that goes into that business.
So have you always wanted to publish a children's book? Is that something you always wanted?
Yes, so that was definitely one of my goals, and I'm so happy that I accomplished it. And when I want something bad enough, I don't stop until I get it. I don't want to hear no. I just keep going and I keep trying until someone says yes, and that's my attitude with everything.
Okay, so you decide you want to write a book. So you pick a character, and obviously in this book you pick, I'm assuming it's your dog.
It is my dog.
Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Very close to
So
my heart.
how does the process start?
So basically, I got an idea. When I got Oliver, I thought, who doesn't love a cute little puppy? So I thought it would be a great idea to create a friendship between two characters that most likely wouldn't be friends in real life. And I want to show children that you could be friends with whoever you would love, whoever you would like to be friends with. So that's kind of where the story took off. And Oliver was my inspiration. So my own little puppy.
Just trying to hold this up so maybe we could get a close-up
Yeah.
at home.
So there's Oliver and Toby, his best friend.
I'm assuming Toby's the toad.
Yes, he's the
Okay.
toad.
All right. So you wrote the book, then next comes the publishing. So how does the company go about picking you up? Do you mail it to these people?
Yeah, so I had to submit my manuscript. Basically, I also had to sketch all the illustrations that I thought would, and I'm not an artist,
Right.
so I did the best I could. I had to put a whole presentation together. I sent it in to the publishing company, hoping for a great response, and she liked it. She took me on, and everything else is history. The illustrators and the editors and the designers, that's all in-house.
Right.
So once they took me on, everything went through that process.
Did you have a lot of input into the illustration?
I did. So basically, between the publisher, myself, and the illustrator, we spent countless hours going over what my vision was and what their vision was, and kind of collaborating together.
Right. So it's a very nice book. It's put together
Thank
very well.
you.
When did this first become available?
So first became available actually just in December. So yeah, it hasn't been out very long, but I'm actually already on my second printing, and I'm going to be going to my third printing. So it's selling, so it's a great thing.
Where can we get this book and future books?
So currently you can get it on Amazon, Watchung Booksellers in Montclair. You can get it on my publishing website, which is honeytomes.com. And there's a bunch of other little mom and pop stores
Very
and
good.
places.
Yeah. Now, usually when someone puts out a children's book, there's a message
Yes.
or something that they want to teach the children. And what is your message here?
So basically my message is,
And George, I'll let you read this later on, maybe.
you could read it to him.
Thank you.
Basically my message is, I wanted to create something to show children that they could be friends with whoever they want to be friends with, that help a friend in need, sharing is great, and that's what this book, it all encompasses, family, overcoming fears, lots of great morals that all children should
Right.
be.
And that's good, because when you do write a children's book, you want them to take something out of it.
Of course.
And they can relate to it, because we're not telling them directly to do something. They're learning from the experiences or the adventures of Oliver and his friend.
What about the next book? Will it be the same type subject, or is it
Will there be a next book?
There is
Yeah, no.
actually, it's already in the works. It will be out come August.
Okay.
And it's about Oliver getting a brother. The mother and father bring home a dog from the animal shelter. And basically it's how a child adjusts. Sometimes they go through jealousy. It's a cute story, but at the end, it always has a happy ending.
That's all that counts.
Yes,
And we understand, because I know we spoke, that this book is based after your own dog.
yes.
Doesn't
My
look like
pride
this.
and joy. He's my fur baby.
Okay, no, that's great. First, we'd like to say that Jacqueline is a product of the Clifton school systems, which is always great. Very proud when someone from Clifton does something great. and publishing a book for children is fantastic. We can't do enough for our kids. We look forward to the next book and like to thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you
Hope to
so
see you
much for
again.
having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Clifton Update section. Happy birthday, Clifton. Hope everybody had a good time at the time capsule revealing party the other day. Now on May 13th, we are going to have a masquerade cocktail party, and that's in conjunction with the Clifton Centennial Committee. That will be held at the Athenia Vets Post on Huron Avenue. So please call Norma Lee Smith for tickets. It's 973-744-5707. It's going to be a great event, so if you can please support that, that would be wonderful. And that's, again, in conjunction with the Clifton Centennial Committee. Then in May, early May and middle May, the Theater League of Clifton will be holding their spring production, and that would be Some Enchanted Evening. So please call them for tickets, 973-928-7668, and that's May 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, and 14. Or go to their website, theaterleagueofclifton.com.
Hi everyone. So there will be a Relay for Life fundraiser held at Bruno's Restaurant and Pizzeria located on Route 46 in Clifton. It'll be Wednesdays, May 3rd and May 17th, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And 20% of your total check will be donated to the Red Hat Angels team. Also, please join us on Sunday, May 28th at 4 p.m. to a Veterans Day memorial service and healing service to honor our veterans. It'll be held at the Assumption of the Holy Virgin Orthodox Church on 35 Orange Avenue in Clifton. For any questions, please contact Steve at 201-694-2015. And happy birthday, Clifton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember that the updates you had just seen, we'd like you to support some of these things. They're all for great causes, for different functions, especially now with the 100th anniversary. There's a lot of things that we'd like people to go to, a lot of functions we need to support our town. Please take that in mind. If you have any questions, please contact any person that you heard on the screen, or just call the station. We'd be glad to let you know where to go. George, our next guest, unfortunately, we age.
Yes.
Well, you
Go
age.
ahead. Only me.
Okay. Sometimes not as graceful as we'd like to, but that's just the process of being a human being.
Yes.
With us tonight, we have a doctor that's going to talk about aging and the brain.
What are you looking at me for?
Because you only forgot your phone twice.
Yes, I did. See, we weren't going to talk about that.
I know. Well, now we're going to talk about it.
Now we are.
I'd like to welcome my next guest, Dr. George Carnevale.
Thanks again.
Nice to see you.
Okay, so now we got a small intro. No, this is important because
No, it is very
everyone gets older and there's problems, and many of us have elderly parents, or that doesn't even have to be elderly. So what we want to talk about tonight is a little bit about what happens to the brain with normal aging.
Well, you started to talk about this, Ray. I mean, we all age, and as you may know, as we get older, things shrink, including our brain, unfortunately. So as we get older, our brain shrinks, nerve cells, we lose a few brain cells here and there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we lose cognitive function, which is the ability to remember and think and organize ourselves. In general, though, from the age of 40 on, our cognitive functioning does tend to decline normally with aging. And I wanted to, talk about three different things, which is the normal decline that happens in memory and cognitive functioning with age, dementia, and Alzheimer's. People talk about these things almost interchangeably, and they're not. They're kind of different, although the concepts overlap a little bit.
So maybe let's start with the definition of dementia, because that'd be a good starting point.
Sure. Dementia is really a progressive decline in memory from a normal point of functioning. There's a definite change from your baseline. Memory disorder, sometimes trouble with communication. Finding words is a common aspect of the beginning of that, although that sort of overlaps with normal cognitive problems that we develop as we age. So I guess, again, it's sort of overlapping. But when there's a real impairment of memory and it affects your daily life, you can't do the normal things you usually would do, whether it's work or school or whatever your activities are, then we call that dementia.
Right, because like George was saying, sometimes you forget your phone, and
Yeah.
it's probably because there's too much on your plate.
Right. That kind of memory loss, we call that episodic memory loss.
Right.
That's a normal part of aging. Where, what did I do with my keys?
Right.
Everybody has that. Sometimes people get really anxious, they get worried, they may know somebody who had Alzheimer's, or they may have had a family member who had a problem, and they start to have that kind of memory. They get very anxious. They don't have Alzheimer's, but sometimes they come into a doctor scared because they're afraid of getting Alzheimer's. So sometimes we need to clarify.
So actually that's where we're going to get to next. Dementia and Alzheimer's, there's a difference.
Correct.
Okay, and I don't know what the difference is. So I know we just went through dementia. Now Alzheimer's is completely different?
Well, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia.
Okay.
There are many different kinds of dementia, but Alzheimer's is probably the most common form of dementia. About 40 to 50% of dementias are Alzheimer's type.
Okay.
Other types are dementia that's due to vascular changes. In other words, strokes, mini strokes, we call that vascular dementia. That's probably the less common. But you can have dementia from infections, you can have dementia from vitamin deficiencies, you can have dementia from various things, and some forms of dementia are reversible.
Right.
In other words, with the right treatment, you can reverse the effect. For example, vitamin deficiency. A severe deficiency of vitamin B can cause severe memory loss.
Right.
In fact, with people who have drinking problems, they develop what's called a Korsakoff syndrome, which is almost complete loss of short-term memory, which can be totally reversed with taking thiamine or B vitamins. But Alzheimer's is not a type of dementia that can be reversed, unfortunately. And the true diagnosis of Alzheimer's sometimes is only made after the person has passed away,
Right.
because there's particular pathology in the brain that we find with that.
Right. Now, everyone has this question. I'd like to know: is this hereditary? Any form is this hereditary, or is?
Well, there's some evidence that there's a genetic component, but that's not the only thing.
Right.
Your lifestyle, whether you took care of yourself your whole life, how you took care of your health and your nutrition seems to also have a lot to do with whether you develop a problem, even if you have a genetic predisposition to it.
Right. So actually, to sort of offset this, maybe you should start worrying about your nutritional health. Perhaps if someone would come to the doctor and say, "Listen, do I think I have dementia or Alzheimer's?" Is there some type of testing for this?
Yes, a lot of people come in with what we call mild cognitive impairment these days, and we can actually test them and find out if they have the types of memory problems that are associated with more severe kinds of dementia, or whether it's just normal aging or even just anxiety or depression. A lot of people who present with dementia are depressed.
Right.
There's something called pseudo-dementia, which is really depression. So if someone is depressed, they can look like they're demented, but they're not. So they can be treated, and that could be reversed.
Okay, so it's a process. I'd just like to ask one last question too, and that's, can anything be done to slow down or prevent the decline of this aging?
Well, the main issue here is that anything that's good for your heart is good for your brain.
Okay.
So anything that's cardiovascular, exercise, proper nutrition, having hypertension is a risk factor for developing Alzheimer's and dementia. So controlling your blood pressure risk factors, controlling your cholesterol, but also doing things like mental exercise. There was a study done where they took elderly people and randomly assigned them to either just a placebo or learning how to juggle.
Right.
And they measured parts of their brain, and what they found is that the people who, even though they were 80 years old and sometimes older, they actually built brain cells because of the activity that they were involved in. So the thing is to get involved with something, try to learn something new, maybe learn a new game, learn how to play chess, take a class, but participate in some activity where you're learning new things, and that can be helpful. There's web type of activities such as Lumosity. I don't have any financial affiliation with that website, but there are programs like that which exercise your brain, exercise your memory, and those things can be very helpful as well.
I mean, obviously this is a topic that's very vast. We're only touching on the tip of it, but if it's something you might want to look into and research, because it is an issue nowadays and people are concerned, so it might be something you want to look more into. I'd like to thank Dr. George Carnevale for coming on tonight. We just learned a little bit about it, but if you need more information, please contact your professional. This is certainly an issue that concerns many people. Thank you, Doctor, for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Stand by with you.
Thanks.
Something's gotta hold on me, yeah. Oh, must be love. Oh, something's gotta hold on me right now, yeah. Oh, must be love. Let me tell you something. I never felt like this before. Something's gotta hold on me, I won't let go. I believe I'd die if it only could. Feels so strange, but it sure feels good. I said, oh, 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 oh.
Okay, that's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank all my guests for coming on. Of course, I'd like to thank my co-host, George Silva, for being with me again. This is probably 2 or 3 shows in a row he's been here with me.
I'm not leaving you, Ray.
I know, he's staying with us.
I'm not leaving you.
I'd like to mention that it's the 100th anniversary of Clifton. This is a great town. Obviously, we all love it. And we're happy to be part of the cable TV programming for the next 100 years or so. My staff and my crew, we're all proud to be part of Clifton, and we're proud to bring the show to the people. Actually, at the end of the show, if you watch the credits, we're going to have a little clip of the ceremony for the 100-year anniversary at the end of the show. So stay tuned, read the credits, and you'll see a little bit of clip. Until next time, though, be good to your friends and family, respect your neighbors, keep Clifton close to your heart. This is a great city. Thank you, God bless, and good night.
Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in the city. Can you do that? Try that. Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You're the light in the darkness. You're the hope in the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. There is no one like you, God. There is no one like you, God. Everybody! Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Please join me in reading the prayer. Faithful God, the God of cities, peoples, and nations, we thank you for the 100 years of faithfulness to the city of Clifton, where blessings of home and family, business and industry, civic organizations and houses of worship, teachers, civil servants, and first responders, for all these things and many more that make Clifton a good place to live, we give you thanks. Let's just sing that chorus again. Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city again. Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city.